Township of Edison Zoning Board of Adjustment regular meeting of April 23rd, 2024 is now in session. Adequate notice of this meeting as required by the Open Public Meetings Act of 1975 has been provided by the annual notice published in the Home News and Tribune on December 18th, 2023, and has been posted in the main lobby of the Municipal Complex on December 18th, 2023. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
Madam Secretary, roll call, please.
Mr. O'Bara? Here. Mr. Bignell? Here. Ms. Shaw? Here. Mr. Aya?
Here.
Mr. Chabra?
Here.
Mr. Cerrito?
Here.
Mr. Patel?
Here.
Mr. Barone?
Here.
Mr. DeVay?
Here.
Vice Chair O'Gorman?
Here.
And Chairman Kumba.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Madam Secretary, minutes for consideration.
Minutes of March 26, 2024 for approval.
Can I get a motion?
Motion to approve. Second.
Motion made by and seconded. Roll call, please.
Mr. Chabra?
Yes, the motion.
Mr. Barone?
Yes on the motion.
Mr. Patel?
Yes on the motion.
Mr. DeVay?
Yes on the motion.
Vice Chair O'Gorman?
Yes on the motion.
And Chairman Kumba.
Yes on the motion.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. We have two announcements. Case Z2 2020 Lamar Advertising of Penn LLC at 81 and 101 U.S. Highway 1. Applicant requested to carry to June 18th, 2024. Also, case Z6 2024 Goldberg Builders LLC at 2076 Woodbridge Avenue. Improper notice. Renotice is required. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is a regular meeting of the Township of Edison Zoning Board of Adjustment. This board is composed of Edison Township residents appointed by the Municipal Council who volunteer their time in service to the board. Municipal land use law requires that members successfully complete a land use training course administered by the New Jersey Department of Community Affairs. The board also holds in-house training conducted by our board professionals. The zoning board abides by the provisions of the municipal land use law, in addition to our board's bylaws. The zoning board is a quasi-judicial land use board which differs from the township planning board. Under municipal land use law, board members are required to be impartial and are not allowed to discuss any case prior to its consideration before the board at a hearing. All applicants have the opportunity to present their case before the board with the opportunity for board members and board professionals to question the applicant and their witnesses. At the conclusion of the applicant's presentation of their case, the case will be open to the public. Residents within 200 feet of the subject property will be heard, followed by residents from outside of 200 feet. All residents will be sworn in. They'll provide their name and address, and they will be given 6 minutes to comment on the application being considered without the opportunity for a rebuttal. Residents may ask questions of the applicant's professionals, and board professionals. The board requests that these questions are asked prior to any comments being made on the application. Once commentary begins, the resident's timer will begin. The applicant will be allowed for the opportunity for cross-examination of their witnesses. Under the law, the chair is allowed to stop any commentary that is repetitive or is an attempt to filibuster the board. Further, the chair is allowed to stop any commentary that is irrelevant to the case or prohibited from the board's consideration. Once the public portion is closed, all public comment is ended, unless new testimony is presented by the applicant. Following the closure of the public portion, the applicant will have the right of summation on their application. Following summation, the case will go to the board for a decision. This procedure has been followed by the board and is similar to the procedures followed by boards of adjustment statewide. The municipal land use law requires the board to engage in a balancing act. It is not required to strictly apply township ordinances, zoning plan, or master plan. As a board of adjustment, variances are granted when appropriately necessary, following all legal considerations. As has been the case with prior boards, this board will see where we are at if we are still in session around 10:30 p.m. I ask that all applicants, professionals, and residents show respect to each other and be civil throughout all proceedings. I ask that you withhold applause, booing, or interrupting of anyone while they are speaking. The chair will not tolerate any outbursts by applicants, professionals, or the public. Further, since most cases are being recorded by a court reporter, I ask that speakers do not speak over one another. Madam Secretary, the first issue on the agenda.
Case number Z29.
I'm sorry, Madam Secretary. Sorry, we have a consideration by the board of a resolution appointing Vivini Shah for the year 2024 to serve as the board attorney.
I make a motion to approve appointing Bhavini Shah, attorney at law for the year 2024.
I'll second.
Motion made by Vice Chairman O'Gorman, seconded by Mr. Dave. Roll call, please.
Mr. Cerrito?
That's permitted.
Yes on the motion?
Going to
Mr. Chapa?
48 before.
Yes to the motion.
48.
Mr. Barone?
Yes on the motion.
Mr. Patel?
Yes on the motion.
But
Mr.
John's
DeVay?
going to take.
Yes on the motion.
Vice Chair O'Gorman?
Yes on the motion.
And Chairman Kemba.
Yes on the motion. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Shaw. The board will now go into closed session for stipulations of court order for the April 5th, 2024 quick check decision that's in reference to case Z28, 2022. Can I get a motion to go into closed session?
Motion to go into closed public session. Second.
Motion made by Vice Chairman O'Gorman, second by Mr. Patel. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The board will adjourn to closed session. We should not be long. Thank you.
Famous last words, we should not be long. You asking me questions? I'm just going to ask you that you designed
Can I get a motion to return to public session?
Motion to return to public session.
Second.
Motion made by Vice Chairman O'Gorman, seconded by Mr. Brown. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. We're now back in public session. Madam Secretary, first case on the agenda, please.
Case Z29-2023, Tuan Nugent at 23 Schuyler Drive. Applicant is seeking bulk and use variances to construct a second-story addition and one-car attached garage on the existing single-family dwelling. The following standards have not been met. Side yard setback required is 6 feet, proposed is 5.5 feet. Both side yard setbacks required is 18 feet, proposed is 11.33 feet. Maximum FAR required is 40%, proposed is 48.4%. Maximum impervious coverage required is 40%, proposed is 48.4%. Affected property is located in the RB zone, designated as block number 160.05, lot number 21 on the Edison Township tax map. All noticing paperwork is in order.
Thank you very much. Good evening, Mr. Shire.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. My name is Bernard Shire with the firm of Convery, and Shire, representing the applicant owner, Tuan Nguyen, regarding property located at 23 Schuyler Drive, also designated as block 160.05, lot 21, on the Edison Township tax map. The property consists of a single-family home in the RB zone. My client has lived there for 10 years in the neighborhood, and it was an old single-family home when he purchased it. He's done a beautiful job renovating the existing old home, which was completed about 6 months ago. He now has a newborn that is 4 months old and needs another bedroom. So he is proposing the addition of a garage with one bedroom above. It requires an FAR variance. The permitted is now 44%. He's asking for 48.4. The variance for one side yard and also for the combined side yard. He does not need a variance for the total impervious coverage since that was pre-existing. He's only looking to build over existing pavement. He does need a variance for the building coverage, which permitted is 25%. He's seeking 29.6%. The reason he's seeking the variances and to construct the renovation is he's been in the neighborhood for 10 years. His family has made friends. They want to stay. He has 3 children with the newborn and needs the one more bedroom. The garage, as you'll see from the photograph of the existing house, the garage is going to be where he parks a car anyway, and it will now have a garage for off-street parking, which is a positive thing, with the bedroom above. The home is beautiful, as you'll see from the exhibit that's going to be put into evidence, and of course, the addition is going to match the existing renovation. The architect who did the original renovation also prepared the plan for the garage and one more bedroom. The neighbors are here, 4 of them in favor of the application. They'd like his family to stay also. They've all become friends over the years. I have with me Mr. Nguyen, William Doran, the architect, and John DuPont, the engineer and planner for the application. Unless there are any preliminary questions, I'm ready to proceed.
Does the board have any questions for Mr. Shire? Seeing none, floor is yours.
Right, I call Mr. Nguyen.
Mr. Nguyen, would you raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear or affirm to tell the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
And please state your full name for the record.
Tuan Nguyen.
Mr. Nguyen, if you could just bring the microphone podium just closer to this, we don't have to lean over. This way we can get you on the audio.
Gotcha.
Thank you so much.
Mr. Nguyen, You're the owner of 23 Schuyler Drive and the applicant on this particular application, correct?
Yes, correct.
And how long ago did you buy the house?
We moved in 2013.
All right, and you've lived there 10 years consecutively?
Yes.
And how many in your family?
As is right now, we have three, 2 girls and a newborn.
And your wife lives there with you also, correct?
Yes, including us, so 5.
Okay. And you need a new bedroom because you have the newborn, correct?
Yes.
You've already done a renovation. The house was an old house when you purchased it, correct?
Yes.
And you've done a complete renovation, as is shown by the photograph I'm showing you, correct?
Yes.
And we can mark that A1. I assume Rachel has a copy. And you hired the same architect to prepare an addition consisting of a garage with a bedroom above, correct?
Yes.
And this garage will be where you park a car anyway, as shown in the picture.
Yeah, where the minivan is.
Okay. Some of your neighbors are here to support you. Is that also correct?
Yes.
And you've made friends with all of them, and your children have friends in the neighborhood too.
Correct.
Right.
That's the reason why we want to stay.
Right. I have no other questions of Mr. Nguyen.
Does the board have any questions for the applicant? Okay, seeing none, you may proceed. Thank you.
Right. I call William Doran. Mr. Doran is being offered as an architect.
Sir, would you raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear or affirm to tell the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
And just state your full name for the record, please.
William Doran.
And Ms. Doran, if you could just give a summary of your qualifications, please.
So I've been a registered architect here in the state of New Jersey since 1987. Have my firm in South Brunswick since that same time. Also registered in Pennsylvania. I've been accepted as an expert witness in front of many boards across the state, including this one.
Okay. And your licenses are current and in good standing?
Yes.
Thank you so much. You may proceed.
Right. Mr. Doran, you were hired by Mr. Nguyen to perform architectural work on an addition that was completed about 6 months ago on his home, correct?
Yes.
And that addition or the renovation is shown in the photograph, which has been marked A1.
Yes.
Could you please, for the benefit of the board, explain what the addition is that we're seeking here tonight?
We're adding about 300 square foot garage storage on the first floor and approximately 200 square foot bedroom on the second floor. The exterior of the addition will match the existing building with all the same materials: windows, siding, roofing, trim. It'll look identical to the picture that you have there.
From an architectural standpoint, the renovations are a tremendous improvement over what was there before the renovations were done, aren't they?
Yes.
I have no other questions of Mr. Doran.
Does the board have any questions, Mr. Doran? Seeing none. Thank you.
I call John DuPont. Mr. DuPont is being offered as an engineer and a planner.
Mr. DuPont, raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm to tell the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
And state your full name, please.
John P. DuPont.
And Mr. DuPont, if you could just give a summary of your qualifications, please.
I am a licensed professional engineer and planner in the state of New Jersey. I've served as the Borough of Carteret Planning Board engineer, Planning and Zoning Board engineer for the past 28 years. All my licenses are in current standing. I've been qualified in front of this board as well as other ones throughout the state.
And we'll accept you this evening. Thank you.
Mr. DuPont, you were hired to be the engineer and planner on this project by Mr. Nguyen, correct?
That's correct.
Could you please go over the basics of what is proposed?
Certainly. So you've heard the testimony. There's the existing lot is 5,700 square feet, lot depth of 100, lot width of 57. The property currently has a single-family dwelling, which is recently being renovated. The house is too small for the applicant's growing family, as you've heard. So the applicant's proposing to construct a single-car garage with a room above it. The dwelling is currently about 2,300 square feet. The total house after the addition will be 2,731 square feet. And that will include the one-car garage. So there's a couple variances that are existing today and a couple we're going to intensify, what I'd like to go over. Side yard setback. Required in the zone is 6 feet, 6 foot for one side, 18 combined. Currently, it's 5.9 on one side and 1788. Under proposed conditions, it's going to be 5.5 for single and 11.33 for combined. So making that a little more intense. The impervious coverage required maximum is 40%. Today it's 48, and it still will be 48 because that entire area where the garages and the additions proposed is all paved. The maximum building coverage, today we are at 25%. Allowed was 23, we're at 25 right now, and we're going to 29.6 because of the addition. And the final variance is FAR. Allowable is 44%. Today we comply at 44%, and under proposed conditions it goes to 49.7. So, we need a D variance to permit the floor area ratio. Again, allowable 44 and proposed 47.9. In order to get the D4 variance, we need to balance the positive and negative criteria. We must demonstrate that the site can accommodate the problems associated with a larger dwelling on the property. So the primary reason that we were over on the floor area ratio is that the applicant is proposing the garage in the area where driveway is today. Do we have the architecturals? I was going to pull up the architecture real quick. Currently, where the additions proposed. Thank you. You want to hold that for that? Yeah, you can do it right there. So currently, right in the area where the proposed addition is, on the side of the property, is a concrete driveway. We're not increasing any impervious coverage. So that's exactly where it is. So the floor area ratio, we exceed by 222 square feet. That's the garage area again. We're not building a significantly too large of a home. It's 222 square feet too large. The project will not significantly impact the light, air, and open space because the minimum setbacks provided on one side were compliant, and on the combined, the second side, we're off by half a foot, right? So you got to have 6 foot minimum. We have compliant on one side and 5.5 on the other side. We have an applicant who has a growing family, as you heard, 3 children, including a newborn. That's the need for the additional room. An enclosed garage space, probably a good idea, just to benefit. I think it looks better too. It's an improvement. This applicant has lived in the area for 10 years. As you've heard, wants to stay in the area, established roots, wants to stay in Edison, and that's why he's asking for this variance tonight. Now, we looked at the neighborhood, and the neighborhood currently has dwellings from our size, about 2,000 square feet, all the way up to 3,000 square feet. We've identified, we have an exhibit, larger here on the board. I think your secretary has passed them out, probably exhibit number 2. And just in a real quick look, hopefully you have this exhibit. The property in question is in green in the center of your diagram. And we've identified 4 properties, and I have them numbered on your exhibit. Number 1 is 25 Schuyler Drive. Just to give you an idea, it's a 2-story building with a single-car garage and an apparent side yard violation. Very similar to our layout in the side yard. You have a picture, you should have pictures of all these houses too if you want to look at them. The second one is 14 Schuyler Drive. That's a 2-story dwelling with a 2-car garage and a floor area ratio of approximately 54%. I will tell you that I calculate the floor area ratios based on Google Earth. We didn't actually measure buildings, but that's approximately 54%. Your third picture, 228 Loring Avenue, right behind our property. 2-story dwelling, no garage, but an FAR of approximately 56%. 234 Loring Avenue, 2.5-story dwelling, FAR approximately 48%. Just a couple examples that what we're proposing is not out of character with the neighborhood. We're going to fit right in. The applicant's taken an older home that needed some renovations and has done it. If you've seen that first exhibit, you have the color photo today. It's a beautiful home.
Mr. DuPont, as you're testifying, we're going to mark this as A2, and
Okay.
it's going to consist of 5 pages.
Yes, yes. So that's the D variance. Now, as far as C variances, as we briefly talked about, there's 4 existing additions. Some were increasing. Side yard setback, allowable 6 foot and 18 foot on the other side combined. We're currently proposing 5.5 and 5.5 and 11.33 feet. The impervious cover allowed 40%. We're 48% today, and we're going to maintain 48%. Well, we aren't expanding the footprint, and we're not removing any green space. It's impervious today. That was impervious before the first addition was done. It was an asphalt driveway before. That needed renovated. Now it's a concrete driveway. It will become a garage space. So we're not reducing any green space. The maximum lot coverage, 23 allowed for buildings. Under existing additions, it's 25% when we build the garage. That's when we go up to 29%. Again, not to keep saying it, but it's the garage area that's doing it. We take out the garage space, and we meet that requirement. So the C2 analysis needs us to advance purposes of the MLUL, and our project will advance several purposes. Purpose A, we are proposing to renovate a dwelling in an existing neighborhood on a previously subdivided property that will meet the characteristics of the neighborhood. Purpose E, we're not re-subdividing the land, not forcing additional dwelling units in. We're proposing an updated home in an established neighborhood that is thereby promoting the general welfare of the persons, the neighborhood, and the community. And purpose I, we're proposing a visual environment we're improving the visual environment by constructing an addition that will meet the characteristics of a neighborhood. And you've seen the appearance of the home. It's terrific. It's one of the best on the blocks. Now, this neighborhood, a little bit about the neighborhood. There are several homes, as we said, larger, a couple homes being constructed. You see the neighborhood getting updated. So we're going to fit right in with that. Now, if I look at any negative criteria, I don't see any detriment to the public good. We have a property owner who's lived in the area for years. They want to continue to keep Edison as their home. And they're looking to renovate the home to meet their growing family. This project will provide them with a home that does exactly that. The benefits of the project will clearly outweigh any detriments. And I think the granting of the variances will not substantially impair the intent, purpose of your zone plan or zoning ordinance. And that's my testimony. If you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to.
Thank you very much, Mr. DuPont. Mr. DuPont, I'm going to kick things off. So the variance application has, let's say, proposed FAR of 48.4. Your FAR certification is 47.9, and your testimony is 49.7.
It's 47.9. 47.9 is accurate. We checked that with the architect earlier. I'm sorry for that miscommunication.
No, it's okay. I just want to make sure. I feel like I'm balancing my checkbook here. Okay. All right. So 47.9, that's where we're at.
That is it.
Bingo. Okay. All right. Thank you so much. Does the board have any questions for Mr. DuPont with regard to the engineering or planning? All right. Seeing none. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Shire.
That's the applicant's case, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you so much. So we will now go out to the public. If there's anyone within 200 feet of the subject property wanting to be heard, please approach. If you are within 200 feet, you've received a notice via certified mail.
Sir,
Good evening.
Good evening.
would you raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear or affirm to tell the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
Okay, state your name and provide your address.
Okay, my name is Robert Ring. I live at 20 Schuyler Drive in Edison, New Jersey. And the way the houses are set up, I'm actually the neighbor that's right across the street from Tawan.
Great. And you can bring the microphone up just so you're a little more comfortable.
How's that?
That's perfect. And you have 6 minutes, sir. Thank you so much.
I've lived at this address for 43 years, and I've lived in Edison for over 70 years. I can honestly say that Edison, where I live now in Edison, is one of those beautiful places where people take in each other's garbage cans. We watch each other's mail if they're on vacation. We do all these wonderful things together, help each other out in every way. And I can honestly say Tawan has been a wonderful addition to this. And I'd wholeheartedly recommend that you approve this application before you, because it's just a great addition to the neighborhood. And I'm right across the street from it, and I have no problem with it because you did a wonderful job on the house, and I know that the garage will look just as wonderful too. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for coming out, sir. Is there anyone else within 200 feet of subject property wanting to be heard? Is there anyone outside of 200 feet? Okay, seeing none, can I get a motion to close the public portion?
Motion to close for public portion.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Patel, seconded by Mr. Chhabra. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Public portion is now closed, and I'll go to the board for decision.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Dave.
I make a motion to approve this application. The application has met all of the negative and positive criteria. The site is suitable for the use intended. The use is not a detriment to the public good or public safety as appropriate. There are no objectors. In fact, the neighbors spoke in favor of this application. With regard to any items not mentioned above, this motion will incorporate all of the testimony of the applicant, attorney, planners, engineers, and members of the board, as well as incorporation of all of the conditions and what is to be done or not to be done at the site was testified to.
A second.
Motion made by Mr. Dave, seconded by Mr. Barone. Roll call, please.
Mr. Cerrito?
Yes on the motion.
Mr. Chhabra?
Yes to the motion.
Mr. Barone?
Yes on the motion.
Mr. Patel?
Yes on the motion.
Mr. DeVay?
Yes on the motion.
Vice Chair O'Gorman?
Yes on the motion.
And Chairman Kumba?
Yes on the motion. Unanimous approval. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Great
Thank
to
you.
see you all. You'll need a transcript, I assume? Yes.
Madam Secretary, next case on the agenda, please.
Case number Z28, 2023, Suresh Patel at 239 West Street. Applicant is seeking bulk and use variances to construct a second-story addition. The following standards have not been met. Max percent building coverage required is 20%, proposed is 25.81%. Max FAR permitted is 37%, proposed is 42%. Affected property is located in the RBB zone, designated as block number 917, lot number 4 on the Edison Township tax map. All noticing paperwork is in order.
Thank you. Good evening, council.
Thank you. Good evening, Mr. Chairman, council, members of the board. May it please the board, Bianca Paredes on behalf of the applicant, Mr. Suresh Patel for property at 239 West Street. Mr. Patel actually purchased this property and built the single-family home that is existing on site back in 1996. And he loves his town, loves his neighborhood. It really is a lovely neighborhood and a beautiful house that he has kept in very good shape. The application before the board this evening is to construct a 2-story addition to the rear so that every member of his family has his own bedroom. In particular, Mr. Patel lives with his mother, who is aging, and they're looking to make sure that she is comfortable for the remainder of her life. In particular, there are no bedrooms on the ground floor, so this addition to the rear of the home would provide a bedroom on the ground floor for Mr. Patel's mother, as well as 1 bedroom for each of his 4 kids, and a bedroom for him and his wife. We have 2 experts to testify before the board this evening, and I'd like to begin tonight's presentation with our architect, Mr. Jose Adames.
Sir, raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm to tell the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
And please state your full name for the record. You might want to pull that microphone closer.
It's Jose Adames.
And Mr. Adames, if you could just please give us a summary of your qualifications.
Yes, I am a licensed architect since 2016 in the state of New Jersey. I'm also licensed in New York City. I've been practicing architecture ever since.
And your license are current and in good standing?
Yes.
Thank you. We'll accept you.
Thank you.
You may proceed.
Mr. Adame, are you familiar with the property at 239 West Street?
Yes.
And did you prepare the drawings that are before the board this evening?
Yes, I did.
And would you kindly walk the board through the existing conditions as well as the proposed application?
Sure. So I would like to just refer to the plans.
Okay,
or
so if you're gonna bring the plans over, just grab the microphone and bring the microphone with you.
Sure. Thank you. Can I put them up here? Thank you. So we're seeking a variance to renovate the home to add a two-story addition in the rear of the house. The variance that we're seeking is on the rear yard. We're extending about 3 feet into the rear yard, as well as increasing, going over the building coverage by about 5.8%. That also creates the FAR also increasing from 0.37 to 0.42%. And the first floor proposed has an area of 683 square feet, and the second floor is 720 square feet. So the reason why we're adding, having the addition is to add an additional 2 bedrooms to the house. So currently there is an existing deck in the rear yard. That deck is going to be removed, and that's where the area where we're going to add the 2-story addition. So we're basically having a bedroom on the first floor for the other elderly mom to be in because she can't take the stairs up to the second floor, and then we're moving the kitchen into the addition as well. On the second floor, we have the 2 bedrooms, and because we're reconfiguring the second floor to have bathrooms for the bedrooms. Then we have elevations showing how we are maintaining the existing look of the house with the addition. We're basically having the same siding, windows, doors, everything to match the existing. And in the front, you can see the renderings of the rear showing the addition on the property. So you can see how that will look. And that's it. Thank you.
Does the board have any questions for Mr. Adames?
Mr. Chair,
Ms. Chhabra.
I do have a question. So the new proposal for the second floor, that the only way to access that is through the second stairs.
Yes, that's correct. But there's also, we're adding a door from one of the bedrooms because the client wanted to have access in the event that he needs to see his son or for any reason. But the main access will be through that second stair.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions, Mr. Adames?
Is there any access to the attic?
No, the addition will just have a flat roof. The attic, there will not be any access to the attic because there will be no attic in the addition.
Okay, not a staircase to the attic?
No, there will be most likely an access hatch in the event that there needs to be access to that part of the roof.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, seeing none. Thank you very much.
We also have a planner to testify this evening, Mr. Doherty.
Sir, do you solemnly swear or affirm to tell the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
And state your full name for the record.
Alexander Dougherty, last name is spelled Dougherty, professional planner.
And Mr. Dougherty, if you could please just give us a summary of your qualifications.
Certainly. I'm education center at Rutgers-Blaustein with a master's in Sydney Regional Planning, concentration in development and redevelopment studies, and a certification in public policy. I testify in this capacity on a weekly and daily basis. I believe I was just here recently. Might have been the planning board. I don't know why I would be in front of the planning board. It's probably about March. I've been accepted. My licenses are current and good standing. I'm also the professional development officer for APA New Jersey. I'm the supervising planner for the town of Dover.
License are current and good standing?
Yes, they are
Okay.
current,
All right.
yes.
Since you're a Rutgers grad and since you were here, either here or the planning board, they accepted you. We'll take you.
Yes.
You can proceed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
For this evening, I've prepared an exhibit packet consisting of photos by drone that were taken yesterday, so pretty much real time, to give some orientation of the proposed single-family dwelling and how it interrelates with the neighborhood with this proposed addition. If I could have passed that exhibit out, Margaret.
Sure. If you could just submit it to the secretary, and Michelle, that'll be marked as.
How many pages are there?
I believe it's 10.
10 pages.
Double
You're going
check,
to
yeah.
submit it as a packet, right?
Yes.
So we'll just mark that as A1.
You may proceed.
Thank you. So just start with the exhibit packet here. Slide 1, if you will, is the existing dwelling as it sits today, real time. Photos were taken bottom right, April 22nd. As we discussed, the property is in the RBB zone. This is block 917, lot 4, 239 West Street here in Edison. As you see, it's got great curb appeal, well maintained. As you heard, the applicant built this in the late 90s. Slide 2, we take the drone out a little bit for some context of the neighborhood. And what I would like to point out as we kind of flip through these is the character and style of the homes. They do vary, but what is consistent is that curb appeal with that 2-car garage narrative out there. For slide 1, I want to just point out the magnitude of the side yard here to the left. We are not seeking side yard relief. It is important to note that this application, that small bump out is on that left-hand side if you're looking at the property. As you see, there's a pretty large gap, a large void there. For side yard perspective here, we're currently at 50 feet for both the combined side yard, whereas 10 is the minimum for one and 25 would be the combination. So we're at 50 for the combined. With the proposed addition would be off that left. The combined would still be over the minimum requirement. We would be at 40 proposed versus that 25. So that bump out tastefully done by the architect and the homeowners off to the left there. And it's just a 10-foot bump out of that existing building footprint. So really from the public realm, the only thing you're gonna notice is a 10-foot addition off to the left in the recess in the back. If you look at the architect's drawings. Other than that, the curb appeal, the character of the neighborhood really does stay intact visually as you kind of come down West Street. The next couple of slides really are for orientation of the size and scale and scope of the neighborhood as again, it does vary. Slide 3, just want to point out the top 2 left dwellings across the street there. It's fairly large, and then some of across street. Again, we have that 2-car narrative here, and we really are keeping with that character and design. And really the next couple of slides, we start looking at where the proposed addition is taking place in the back. On slide 4, you kind of see that side profile of the building, one continuous wall. So add a little bit of an architectural feature there with that small 10-foot bump out on the side. You'll see that rear deck. If you reference the architectural plans, this proposed addition is really taking place right where that deck is and kind of coming out 10 feet past the edge of the building. Slide 5, again, we just kind of spin that around so you get a real perspective of that side of the building, of the dwelling. And then slide 6 is really an aerial top-down, bird's-eye perspective of the dwelling. Really gives you a scope of just where that addition's going and the scale. Right where you see that deck is right where the, on slide 6 here, is where that proposed addition's going. With this addition comes a few variances as outlined. We are requesting FAR. We do have a building coverage variance we're seeking and a rear yard setback. The rear yard setback, 33 feet is required, 30%. Currently what exists there now is 36. I'm sorry, what would be required is 36. What we're proposing is 36.16. Required would be the 33 feet. So we're asking for a 3 foot, 0.16 relief. So 3 foot, 1 inch into the rear yard encroachment. And that's right about where that deck footprint is in those shrubs right there. For the FAR, 37% is what's required. We're seeking 42. I'd like to just point out that's a difference of 550 square feet. So when we talk about the FAR, that does include the second story as well. So by virtue of the application going up to 2 stories, the FAR, we're seeking 550 square foot in a comparison for the FAR. The lot coverage, I want to point out the back of the napkin test here from a planning standpoint, because the next relief we need is building coverage. We are over on building coverage, but when I look at the lot coverage, and it's in combination of all impervious surfaces, including the building, we are under that lot coverage requirement. It's 40%, and we would be at 33.07%. So though we are asking for some building coverage relief, collectively the lot coverage, we're well under that. And that, when we look at that, is 762.15 square feet. So when I look at the building footprint, the FAR, the building coverage relief here, 20%, and we're at 25.81, which is 639.36 square feet of an additional building coverage that we're seeking relief for. So FAR 550, the building coverage 639.36. Again, the lot coverage collectively, all impervious surfaces on that property, we're under it by 762. So when I look at this application, the back and napkin test here for that FAR, as we just heard previously, is can this site accommodate the additional FAR? Given that the virtue that is taking place in the back, I do believe it's not going to impair the character and the integrity of the neighborhood and that integration. We're keeping that front facade really intact there. The additional FAR, by the way, it's 2 stories. The building coverage, I really do think is minimal. It's 550 square feet to accommodate really a mother, an aging mother. From a planning standpoint, we can look at the benefits of this application. Aging in place is a big concern in any community. Where do we put our seniors? Where do we put our parents in a community that you love and you know very well? And keeping that core family nucleus intact is certainly a positive that can be felt in any community. This is a positive investment to the site, which should be felt throughout the neighborhood, not just here on the site. Again, keeping that character and that corridor intact visually is good purpose eye for desirable visual environment. There's really no substantial change to the elevations of the property coming down West Street. The rear yard setback, I really do think is de minimis, as well as the building coverage. We are over on that, but our lot coverage we're under. So I don't think there's going to be adverse impacts felt by way of stormwater management or any adverse effects by way of reducing the impervious coverage, because we are under that by virtue of the 700 square feet to 762 square feet. From a planning standpoint, I do feel there's a lot of benefits to this application. I think when we look at this proposed addition, it was well thought out. To the rear, minimal impacts visually, and again, over an existing deck in the back. And it's for a growing family, a family that's been in the community for quite some time. There's no adverse impacts felt with the building coverage. I think we can look at this application with many positives, with little to no detriments, advancing purpose A, I, and I believe M for a more efficient use of land. If we could keep the family intact. With that, I'll conclude. I think the board can look favorably upon this application, and I'll rest there. The statutory criteria has been met for the FAR. The site can flow, function, operate efficiently. This addition will be built to all applicable building and fire codes, and it has appropriate adequate space for a growing family.
Thank you very much. Does the board have any questions? Mr. Dave.
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
You're putting this addition where the existing deck is, correct?
Correct.
And you are not adding any more deck on the property?
No.
Okay, so, all right, that's about it.
Thank you, Mr. Dave. Any other questions? All right. Thank you very much. Counsel?
We have no further witnesses, Mr. Chairman, but I do want to thank the board for your time and your consideration on this application.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much. Now we'll go out to the public. We will start with residents within 200 feet of subject property. We want to be heard. If you're within 200 feet, you received a notice via certified mail with regard to this case. Seeing none, we will now go outside of 200 feet of subject property. Want to be heard. Seeing none. Can I get a motion to close the public portion?
Motion to close public session.
Second.
Motion made by Vice Chairman O'Gorman, second by Mr. Patel. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Public portion is now closed. Counsel, do you have anything to add before we go to the board?
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Dave.
I make a motion to approve this application. Applicant will comply with any of the engineer's report as well as the building department's, the construction requirements. This is a very de minimis request. It is not detriment to the neighborhood and not out of character with the neighborhood. Applicant has no intent to add any additional replacement deck on this property, and there are no objectors for this application.
By Mr. Dave, second by Mr. Patel. Roll call, please.
Mr. Cerrito?
Yes on the motion.
Mr. Chabra?
Yes to the motion.
Mr. Barone?
Yes on the motion.
Mr. Patel?
Yes on the motion.
Mr. DeVay?
Yes on the motion.
Vice Chair O'Gorman?
Yes on the motion.
And Chairman Kumba?
Yes on the motion. Approval is unanimous. Is the applicant here?
They are here. They're
All
in
right.
the rear.
Okay, congratulations. You're approved.
Thank you
so much.
everyone.
Enjoy.
All right, Madam Secretary, next case on the agenda, please.
Case number Z4, 2024, Malind and Bial Shaw at 11 Phoenix Ave. Applicant is seeking bulk and use variances sought to construct an addition to the first and second floor to the existing non-conforming single-family dwelling. The following standards have not been met. Single-family homes are not a permitted use in this zone. Affected property is located in the LI zone designated as block number 760, lot 101 on the Edison Township tax map. All noticing paperwork is in order.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Good evening, Mr. Morse.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. My name is Kevin Morse, attorney, Woodbridge, New Jersey, appearing on behalf of the applicants Milind and Bijal Shah. The subject property is block 760, lot 1.01, located at 11 Phoenix Avenue. And again, we're before you this evening seeking use and bulk variance approvals for the proposed construction of an addition to the existing single-family residence at the property. The property is located, believe it or not, in the LI industrial zone. I can tell you that I was last before this board on a similar case with Mr. Valatudo, one of my witnesses, at 16 Phoenix Avenue across the street, where an addition was proposed. But we've got a residential zone in an industrial area. And we're quite similar to the case that was just before you. And you'll hear testimony in this regard. The Shahs moved to Edison into that house in 2008. They moved from Jersey City to seeking a better town, a suburban lifestyle, and they love living in the town. Mr. Shah's parents are elderly. They're staying with him now. The second floor doesn't work, and the proposed addition is really to construct a bedroom for them on the first floor where the garage is now, and then build a recreation room on the second floor so the folks can have an area on the first floor, but the rest of the family, the Shahs have 2 kids, and also have a separate area. But also they want to have a garage, so part of the addition is to put a new garage where the old garage was, which would be the proposed bedroom for the folks downstairs. So I have 3 witnesses, Millen Shah sitting to my right, one of the owners. I will have Angelo Valatuto, who is my professional engineer and planner, and I will have Al Andor, who is our licensed architect. So I just want, if we could swear in Mr. Shah just to confirm everything I've represented to you under oath, and then I'll remain here for any questions. But just want to get that on the record, sir.
Absolutely. Shah?
Mr. Shah, would you raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear or affirm to tell the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
You can pull the microphone closer and state your full name for the record, please.
Milind Shah, 11 Phoenix Avenue, Edison, New Jersey.
Right now, Mr. Shah, you heard my introduction to the board and the substance of the application and the reasons why you are proposing this addition. Is that correct?
Yes.
Is everything that I have introduced to the board, is that all accurate, and would that be your testimony?
Yes, definitely.
And your folks live with you now, correct?
Yes.
And it's a difficult situation because they're elderly, and trying to navigate from the second to the first floor creates some ambulation issues, is that correct?
Yes, especially my father, yeah.
All right, so if you have them on the first floor, they won't need to use the stairs.
Right.
And you've heard me specifically the second floor recreation area, that's because your boys, your family
Yes.
want to have an area so that your folks can use the other living room downstairs, correct?
Yes, yes. My parents, they primarily use the living room on the first floor. Okay. So, kids, sometimes they want to watch a different TV,
Have friends over and so forth, and they'll have the recreation as proposed on the second floor.
Yes.
All right, so that, I just wanted to confirm the purpose. Shahs are here, his wife is here also. Unless there are questions at this point, I would have him stand down with your permission, and I'll have our professionals get into the substance of the application.
Let me just check to make sure that nobody on the board has any questions for Mr. Shah. Does anybody on the board have any questions for Mr. Shah? Seeing none. Okay, thank you so much. You may
All right,
proceed.
thank you, Mr. Shah. So I would next call our architect, Al Andor. Thank you. You can say, Mr. Shah, stay right there, because he's going to testify from up there, just in case. Yeah.
Sir, would you raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear or affirm to tell the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
And please state your full name for the record.
Albert Ondor, O-N-D-A-R.
And Mr. Andor, if you could please just give us a summary of your qualifications.
I'm sorry.
Can you give us a summary of your qualifications, please?
I'm a licensed architect in the state of New Jersey. I've been licensed since approximately 1985, graduate of New Jersey Institute of Technology, and I've worked as an architect in New Jersey since my graduation.
And your licenses are current and in good standing?
You have to excuse me, my hearing's shot from, I've had a COVID-related hearing
Okay,
issue.
I'm sorry. So I'll speak up. Your licenses are current and in good standing?
Yes, it is.
Okay, thank you. You may proceed.
Thank you.
All right, so you're accepting me as our expert, and Mr. Andor, just to confirm, you've testified before many other land use boards over your career.
Yes, I have. Numerous boards in Central Jersey, Old Bridge, East Brunswick, Trenton, I mean, to name a few.
First time here? First time here?
I believe so, unless it was many years ago. I was trying to scratch my brain if I've been here. I've done numerous projects in Edison, but I don't believe I've testified in any recent years.
Well, welcome.
Thank you.
You can proceed. Thank you.
Right now, Mr. Andor, you prepared a color board of the architectural elevations and floor plan that was previously submitted with the application. Is that correct?
That is correct.
All right, can you put your color board up on the easel, if you would, grab the microphone, and take the board through the proposed addition. All right, so Mr. Andor, you prepared the architectural plans that are before the board, is that correct?
Yes, it is.
All right, please describe for the board the proposed addition to the existing residence.
The addition is to an existing two-story house. The addition is approximately 1,100 square feet with approximately 400 or so square feet of new construction on the first floor and approximately 200 or 300 square feet of repurposed construction, converting the existing garage to a bedroom for the parents. And then the second floor is an addition of a game lounge room with a bathroom and repurposing, modifying the existing master bedroom to create a hallway to the new addition. For the most part, there is a balcony to the rear and a small balcony on the front of the house to create elevation and some depth and some shadowing and create some, instead of it just being a flat elevation. The addition is in context with the house and proportional to the lot size.
All right, now the facade treatment to the addition, I see you've colorized it. Is that blending with the existing residence as it stands
Yes,
today?
the current house is a beige siding, a little darker beige, and to the best of representation, the new addition will be in context and match the same coloring and roof lines and roof coloring. The shingle is a darker gray-black roof shingle, and that would also be carried over and matching the existing.
Now, in addition to your testimony, you just said that it's your opinion that the dwelling with the addition is proportional to the size of the lot. What is your opinion with regard to the dwelling as proposed with the addition vis-a-vis the character of the rest of the dwellings in the neighborhood?
The house certainly is in proportion to other houses within, I mean, the area is sort of secluded off the main roads, but it is in proportion to other structures in the area, residential in nature. It is proportional to, as I said, to the lot size. And for the most part, the addition sort of is reflecting the needs of the owner without superseding or expanding too greatly on the lot size. One of the issues Mr. Shah brought up, they keep a small garden in the rear yard on that side of the property, so they wanted to maintain that. So we respected those wishes.
All right, I have no further questions of Mr. Andor. At this time, he'll be here for the entire hearing should something come up.
Thank you. Does the board have any questions for Mr. Andor? Seeing none. Thank you.
All right, I would
Thank you.
next call Mr. Chairman, Mr. Angelo Vallatudo, if he could be sworn, please.
Good evening.
Good evening. Raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm to tell the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do. Angelo J. Vallatudo, V-A-L-E-T-U-T-T-O, 424 Amboy Avenue, Woodbridge. Licensed professional engineer, professional planner in the state of New Jersey. Both licenses are in good stead, and I've had the honor and pleasure of appearing before this board for decades.
You make my job easier, so thank you. We'll accept you.
I've been paying attention.
No, at least somebody pays attention. You should give a lesson to my two kids.
And I would just want to seek to confirm, Mr. Chairman, I'll be calling Mr. Vallatudo in both of his disciplines, and that you're accepting him both as an expert with regard to engineering and planning.
That is correct, yes.
All right, thank you. All right, Mr. Vallatudo, you prepared the plan that's before the board, is that correct?
Yes, sir, that's correct. And one of the items that we wanted to make sure is on the hopeful basis we get approval by this board, we'd then be able to sustain and get a permit from the engineering department. And to that end, we designed in a septic system, a seepage system, not septic, to handle the additional runoff that will be generated. So nothing will hit the ground. It'll go into a piping system and go into a system in the front. And that will be ported or reviewed by the engineering department for this project. But other than that, it's an addition on the northerly side of the building, converting the existing garage into a bedroom and their own bathroom for Mr. and Mrs. Shaw's, the grandparents. their parents, and constructing the addition 2-story, ground floor being a garage and the second floor being of a family room.
All right, thank you. From an engineering perspective, is there any negative impact on adjacent or neighboring properties as a result of this proposed addition to the existing residence?
No, sir. As I indicated, the two biggest items are with regard to drainage, where we have our seepage pit, and with regard to off-street parking. With the number of bedrooms that we have, with 4 on the house now, there'll be 1 additional. The conversion, as we spoke about the garage, will be a requirement of 3, and we'll have 3 after that. So with those 2 items being addressed, I don't see any impact from an engineering standpoint.
All right, thank you. Now, you also, at the request of the applicant, analyzed this proposed application from a professional planning standpoint. Is that correct?
Yes, sir, that's correct. And as is usual, we analyze the application, as you said, from a planning perspective, visited site. As you indicated, you and I worked on another project a couple of years ago in the same street. The surrounding neighborhood has not changed since then. We reviewed the township zoning ordinance, master plan, as well as the New Jersey municipal land use law. And as Mr. Andar had indicated, a majority, if not all of the properties that extend along Phoenix are all residential, all of which are in an LI light industrial zone.
So that neighborhood that predates the zoning, it goes back to the 40s from what I understand. Is that correct?
That's correct. And the house, as you indicated, was built in 2008, located in the old residential neighborhood in the township. The neighborhood of residence is actually located, as we've said, in an LI zone, which is a light industrial use, and that's what lends itself to the number of variances that are existing and are part of what this application is, because when you're in a zone that requires almost 2 acres, it's kind of tough to meet that with a property that's slightly over 7,800 square feet, in which is one of the largest, if not the largest, along Phoenix Avenue. So the property and the other residents around the neighborhood are all pre-existing non-conforming uses, which we indicate more than likely predated the zone designation. The applicant's proposal to construct an addition to the addition single family requires the use variance approval along with the other bulk of variances. Many of the houses in the neighborhood have been renovated, including some with additions to the original homes. The proposed renovations to the existing residents at this property provide an improved living space within the family, within the dwelling, due to the Shaws taking care of their parents. The proposed renovations will not change, in my opinion, the conformity of this dwelling as being similar with the homes in the rest of the neighborhood. With regard to the use variance, in my opinion, the requisite criteria exist that justify the applicant's request for a use variance. First, under the positive criteria or special reasons, they look at the applicability of the use. And to that, we turn under the municipal land use law, section 40:55D-2, in which I'd like to offer 3 of the criteria that we meet. Letter A, to encourage municipal action to guide the appropriate use or development of all lands in this state in a manner that will promote the public health, safety, morals, and general welfare. Letter C, to provide adequate light, air, and open space. Now, with regard to that, the closest zone that this property, as well as all the others in Phoenix, is the RB zone. And with regard to the RB zone, we would be required to have a 6-foot minimum side yard. The proposal under the application with the addition brings it to 8.04. So while we are nowhere near the 40 feet that is required in the LI zone, and no property along this street is, we do meet the one that's the closest to this property for the use that we have, the residential. Letter G, to provide sufficient space and appropriate locations for a variety of agricultural, residential, recreational, commercial, industrial uses and open space, both public and private, according to their respective environmental requirements in order to meet the needs of all New Jersey citizens. And my favorite one, letter M, to encourage the coordination of the various public and private procedures and activities shaping land development with a view of lessening the cost of such development and to be a more efficient use of the land. All of the utilities are in place, and as seemed to be the theme, at least we're the third one, we represent an application for a family that has made Edison their home, and due to the fact with earlier two, younger people growing up, ours is at the point where the Shaws are looking to take care of their parents, require the additional space. With regard to the particular suitability of the site, the subject property in this long-existing residential neighborhood is particularly suited for the proposed addition and renovations for the reasons I've testified to. The applicant is, for practical purpose, not actually expanding the nonconformity, but rather making this single-family residence more in conformity with the rest of the neighborhood. And there has been, as Mr. Ondar has said, a continuing transition for this street. Even though it's in an industrial zone, light industrial, the people that are living there take pride in their homes and are continuing to upgrade it and renovate it, as is evidenced by just traveling along the street. With regard to the negative criteria, requested relief can be granted, number one, without substantial detriment to the public good. For the reasons I've justified, I see no detriment to the public good, no negative impact on the adjacent properties. As I indicated, we're dealing with the drainage, we're dealing with the amount of off-street parking spaces, and we are within the consistency of the neighborhood with regard to the development. And number two, without substantially impairing the intent and purpose of the zone plan and zoning ordinance, as the application is not inconsistent with the master planning zoning ordinance for, again, the reasons I've stated. It is also my opinion that all of the bulk requests, variance requests, are really subsumed within the use variance requests, which carry the highest standard of proof, which I believe the applicant has satisfied through our testimony. Nevertheless, the bulk variances requested by the applicant are cognizable under the C1 or the hardship analysis. Due to the exceptional odd shape of the property and its location, odd shape and location because it's in a light industrial zone, not within a zone that permits residential, excuse me, perpetua procure, let me go over water, excuse me. Peculiar or exceptional practical difficulties or undue hardship would be placed upon the applicant and the ability to expand the size of the existing dwelling, given the light industrial zone standards, which I indicated really are extremely difficult to try to tie in with any residential use of any of the properties along this street. Bulk variances requested by the applicant are also cognizable under the C2 or flexible C analysis, and this application meets that criteria as well. Number one, relates to a specific piece of property, the unique property upon which the existing dwelling is located. Again, given the light industrial zone within it's located and the requirements within that zone. Number two, for the purposes of the municipal land use law, would be advanced by the deviation from the zoning ordinance for the same reasons I've already testified under the applicant's use request variance. Under either bulk variance relief analysis, again, the negative criteria, in my opinion, are satisfied. Number three, that the variances can be granted without substantial detriment to the public good. I see no detriment, only positive benefits by keeping a family in here. that's been here for over 16 years, made it their home, made it their family home, and now bringing their parents into that home so that they can all live in peace. And number four, that the benefits of the deviation would substantially outweigh any detriment. Again, I see no detriment. And the last one, that the requested variances will not substantially impair the intent or purpose of the municipal zone plan or zoning ordinance. And that is what I have testified throughout my time this evening.
All right, thank you, Mr. Valatudo. I have no further questions of Mr. Valatudo. If there are questions from the board on any aspects of his testimony.
Thank you. Does the board have any questions for Mr. Valatudo with regard to his engineering and planning testimony? Seeing none, you left him speechless.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, board.
Mr. Morse, do you have anything to add before we go out to the public?
I do not.
Okay, all right, so we'll now go out to the public. If there's anyone within 200 feet of subject property wanting to be heard. If you're within 200 feet of subject property wanting to be heard, you've received a notice via certified mail. Ma'am, you may approach.
Evening. Raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm to tell the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
And state your full name with your address.
Barbara Baumley, 17 Phoenix Avenue.
Okay, you may proceed, ma'am. You have 6 minutes.
I live next door to the Shaws since they moved in. They're great people. I love them. Wonderful neighborhoods, but I have to contest this. As it is now, my kitchen window, which I have 3 windows on that side of my house. One is at my upstairs stair landing, which gives no light. And the other one's at my back hall, at my back door. So then I have my kitchen window. That's the only light I get. As it is, I get light in there, but when I look out my window, all I see is the side of their house. Now they want to bring it closer, and I totally get the reasoning. I don't really want to contest it, but I have to. They're siding the house is going to be like literally 10 feet out my window. It's going to be right there. I will not get any sun. If it was a first floor, just a garage, I think I could do that because then I would get light in there, but I'm not going to get any light. And again, I don't want to do this, but I have to. It's going to affect me when I have to sell my house. It's going to be an issue because they're going to be right on top of me. As it is, their house is already, if not the biggest, one of the biggest on the street. I totally understand why they want to do this, but I don't think it's a good idea. And yes, we have mixed housing on the street. Mine is probably the oldest. But again, theirs is one of the biggest. And I could see if they want to make the garage a bedroom for their parents. I totally get it, but maybe just add a garage and not the second floor, which could have totally blocked my light. Thank you. I'm not good speaking in front of people, as you can tell. Thank you all.
Thank you very much, ma'am.
All right, Mr. Chairman, the question with regard to light, I would ask that I have my engineer and planner address that question.
Certainly.
Could, please.
Certainly. Mr. Valatudo, just remind you, you're still under oath.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Well, the orientation of Phoenix is in the general north to south direction. Sun comes up in the east and goes back and settles into the west. So that I believe while there's a concern by the young lady who just spoke, neighbor, it would be more appropriate if it was the houses were east and west, because then the sun would have to come over the top of the shore house. But it's coming right over the top, and in our opinion, it shouldn't. And as I testified, and I want to make it a point that when you're in a zone that doesn't permit the use that you want, you look at the closest zone property-wise where that use would fit. And in the RB zone, which is that zone, it would only require a 6-foot setback. and we still have slightly over 8 feet.
All right, and just so I'm clear, so when you're saying the sun comes up, it's basically shining on the front facades of both houses, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, as opposed to it coming over and having to get above the peak of a house, namely the Shaw's house, before it would get the side of the house for the neighbor that just spoke, correct?
That's correct.
All right, so is it your testimony then, the space between the house is going to get that sun because it's not blocked because it comes from the east? Is that accurate?
It is, if as long as the sun keeps on coming up in the east and off to the west.
All right. Thank you for that clarification. And I would just, unless there's questions of Mr. Valatudo on his testimony.
Is there any questions, Mr. Valtudo?
Mr. Chairman?
Mr. O'Gorman?
So the issue is in reference to the resident that came up is next to the garage. The garage is the issue that potentially could block her sunlight?
Yes, sir, that side of the house, because her home is just off to the north, the adjoining property.
So it is your testimony that that garage is not going to block the sunlight?
It's not going to block it from the standpoint of the direction of the sun going from west to east. If it was coming up and had to go over the top of the Shaw house, it would block it. Is there going to be some blockage? Yes. But
So your testimony is it's going to block, the garage is going to block her sunlight?
block is a very strong word. It's going to not have an impact. When a word block is used, I think of it as almost being like an eclipse where it's going to darken it. It's not going to have that effect. Obviously, the house is 8 feet away versus right now it's about 18, 20 feet away. So there's going to be different shadows, but it's not going to block it to the sense where she's not going to get light into her house.
All right, then the surrounding residential zones, the setback is 6 feet?
That's correct, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, all right, thank you. Is there anyone else within 200 feet of subject property wanting to be heard? Anyone outside of 200 feet wanting to be heard? Seeing none, could I get a motion to close the public portion?
Motion to close public portion.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Patel, seconded by Vice Chairman O'Gorman. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Public portion is now closed. Mr. Morse, if you have any additional commentary before we go to the board?
No, I believe we've produced testimony that would justify the request of relief, and I believe we've answered the one question from the neighbor, again, based upon the orientation of the house. I'm not going to belabor our testimony. We kindly request that you approve our application.
Thank you very much. So we'll now go to the board.
One second.
Go ahead.
I'm going to do it. Is this a single or a double door?
The single door.
Okay.
Closed. The application is closed now.
Can we go to the board for a motion, please?
Mr. Chairman.
Mrs. Ave.
I make a motion to approve this application. And the logic behind is if this would have been RB zone, they get the FAR of 44% versus they are seeking 48.44%. If this would have been RB zone, the side yard setback should have been 6 foot. They are providing 8 foot. It's unfortunate that this property is in an LI zone. It's not like the rest of the neighborhood, which is the RB zone. With that said, the application has met all the negative and positive criteria. The site is suited for the intended use. The use is not detriment to the public good or public safety. With regard to any of the item not mentioned above, the motion will incorporate all of the testimony of the applicant, attorney, planners, engineers, and members of the board, as well as incorporate all of the conditions and what is to be done and not to be done at the site as testified to.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Dave, seconded by Vice Chairman O'Gorman. Roll call, please.
Mr. Cerrito?
Yes on the motion.
Mr. Chhabra?
Yes to the motion.
Mr. Barone?
No on the motion.
Mr. Patel?
Yes on the motion.
Mr. DeVay,
Yes on the motion.
Vice Chair Gorman,
Yes on the motion.
and Chairman Kumba.
Yes on the motion. 6-1, this case is approved. Congratulations.
Thank you, folks.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Do we need a transcript? Yes.
Should have made that before, but get upset.
I found one extra for sure.
Madam Secretary, next case on the agenda, please.
Case Z30, 2023, PKG Builders LLC, 1590 Lincoln Highway. Applicant is seeking bulk and use variances for a two-story mixed-use building, first floor commercial, second floor residential. Standards have not been met in accordance with the master plan. Minimum lot area required is 7,500 square feet, proposed is 5,000 square feet. Minimum lot width required is 60 feet, proposed is 50 feet. Minimum one side requirement is 6 feet, proposed is 5 feet. Minimum both side requirement is 18 feet, proposed is 10 feet. Maximum impervious coverage required is 65%, proposed is 72.9%. Maximum FAR required is 30%, proposed is 48%. Minimum parking required is 7 spaces, proposed is 6 spaces. Affected property is located in the OS1 zone, designated as block number 381, lot number 2501 on the Edison Township tax map. All noticing paperwork is in order.
Good evening, Mr. Arch.
Good evening. Thank you, board professionals, members of the board. My name is Tim Arch. I'm an attorney licensed in the state of New Jersey from Bob Smith and Associates, and I'm here representing PKG for this property located at 1590 Lincoln Highway. I did hand out what I've pre-marked as Exhibit A1 and A2, just because we all like pictures and something to look at during the presentation. Exhibit A1 is a Google Street View image that shows what the property looked like in the past, so sort of a historic view of the property. Since this picture has been taken, that building that I believe was some sort of a automotive shop, I guess, has been demolished, and the entire site is now vacant. Exhibit A2 is the lot as Google Earth shows it now, which is just the empty lot. This is a proposal for a two-story building with commercial use, actually a showroom use on the bottom floor, and then residential use on the second floor. All of the variance relief that Ms. Ruggiero just indicated on the record is correct. I do want to add that based on Mr. Bignell's report, I believe we also need a variance relief for parking setback to the street line and building, where required is 15 and 5 feet respectively, and we have 5 and 4 feet based on our proposal. We do have several reports. We have a DNR report, a Bignell consultant report, and we have a police memo. Before we get into testimony, I do have 2 points that I want to point out on Mr. Bignell's report, and I did discuss this with him prior to our testimony tonight. On Mr. Bignell's report, he does indicate that a use variance is required because of the residential use above. As I read the statute, specifically 37-30.4, having dwelling units ancillary to a commercial use is actually a conditional permitted use, or permitted conditional use in the zone, as long as there are separate entrances from the commercial and residential. So I believe that we do not need a use variance for that. If the board feels as though we do need a use variance, though, I would certainly ask the board to grant that. We certainly need an FAR variance, though, so we do need D variance relief.
Mr. Chairman, I'll go upstairs and check my my ordinance. I don't. I could stand corrected if I if I missed it. There's 3 different OS zones: OS, OS1, and OS2, and there's a whole bunch of different who's permitted and what and where. And so I'll look at the ordinance and see if it's permitted, because single family is only permitted in certain ones. And I didn't realize that it was multifamily. I didn't see that, but I didn't search down into the conditional uses. But I'll take a look before the meeting's over.
Would you like to take 5 minutes to do that now?
Yeah, that'd be fine.
Okay. All right. So we're going to take a 5-minute reset.
I have one other issue, and I may just mention this on the record in case Mr. Bignell wants to look at this as well during the recess. There's one other. There was a buffer requirement that Mr. Bignell called out for abutting residential. I actually dug into the tax maps, and it turns out that the lot, our lot, is actually not abutting any residential. It's because of the odd shape of the adjacent lot. It actually curves around the back and envelops our lot, and so we are not adjacent to residential. We have OS1 on all sides of our lot. So I don't believe that variance is required either.
The map that you showed me, is that what ownership is that in? Is that in the ownership of the property behind, or is that in the ownership of the property to the right of it?
So I do have a copy of the tax map. So it's lot 2401, which is the lot. If you're looking at our property, it's just to the right.
Yeah.
It's sort of a very narrow shotgun style house.
Yeah.
It's right on the property line. That lot goes back and then junctions as a T across the back of our property.
See, Mr. Chairman, maybe I was a little confused, but if everybody remembers, this is the building down off of 27 that was painted blue, and it was a mess. And the guy, I guess they used to detail cars in there. So the only way you could get into that property was through part of that piece of property in the back. So that's why I'm a little confused. If it's the same owner and you're combining the lots, I had a hard time seeing that off your map. That didn't really show on your map. So.
Yeah, so our property is 2501. The property adjacent to us, again, just the lot is, and again, I can if we're going to mark this as an exhibit, I can show this.
Who owns that piece of property? You must know that from the 20 to 200 foot list. And that's through there.
I'm sure I could, Mr. Prasad, if you want to look and see on the who owns.
Yeah, you do your homework, and I'll go do mine, Mr. Chairman, and we'll be back. All right.
Of course. Okay. So do you want to admit that into evidence as A1 prior to, just so that it's on the record?
I'll mark it as A3. I had pre-marked 2 as A1.
Okay. All right, Ms. Shaw? It's A3. All right. Okay. Mr. Arch. Mr. Arch, really quick. I just need to get on the record. You have nothing else to add before we take a recess?
Not that I can think of at the moment. But
Okay. Okay. All right. So we're going to take a 5-minute recess to allow for Mr. Bignell and Mr. Arch to get on the same page before we proceed.
That's why I moved.
Yeah.
We're going to return to session.
Yeah, I had the feeling everybody just needed a 5-minute break, so I apologize for that. For the record, Mr. Bignell is correct on the need for a use variance, so we would be requesting a use variance. The residences that we are proposing are not accessory uses to the commercial use on the first floor, so it would not be a conditional use, so we do need a use variance for that.
And Mr. Bignell, you're in agreement?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
And as long as the gentleman, the applicant doesn't own that piece in the back, then he's not subject to that buffer.
Okay.
So he'll have to testify that he doesn't own it, and I'll be satisfied.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
Since I've already wasted enough time, I have 2 witnesses tonight, and without any further ado, I would call Mr. Singh.
Mr. Singh, would you raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear or affirm to tell the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
And please state your full name for the record. Pull the microphone close.
Gurcharan Singh.
And you could move that's on a podium. You can move it closer to you. The microphone's on a podium. Move closer just so you're more comfortable. You can put your hand down.
Gurcharan. Last name is Singh, S-I-N-G-H.
So, Mr. Singh, you are the principal of PKG Builders, is that correct?
Correct.
And give the board a brief overview of what your company does.
We are a builder in Edison Township. We do build the new houses.
Okay. And as part of your business is building a new house, one of the aspects of it that you need is you need a showroom area to show off different furnishings and things to potential clients. Is that correct?
Yeah, correct.
Okay. And is that what the purpose of the commercial use on this property is, that first floor?
Correct.
Okay. So the idea is that you would use this as a showroom to be able to bring in a client, show them different items, different building materials and things of that nature that you would use to eventually construct their house, correct?
Correct. Mm-hmm.
Okay. One of the things, so the hours of operation that we were talking about on your business is 7 days a week from 8 to 8. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. Although that's a little deceptive because you were telling me that it's appointment only. Is that correct?
Correct.
All right. So you don't have just walk-in general retail sales or anything of that nature?
No.
All right. This is purely a existing client that you have, that you're constructing their home, and you want to have a convenient location to be able to go in, show them some of the materials, pick out those materials so that you can incorporate them into the building. Is that correct?
Correct.
All right. And this isn't a retail sale where this person is coming in and then leaving with an item there, right?
No.
Okay. And to that end, you're not distributing or shipping any items from this location. Is that correct?
Correct.
All right. So you have a warehouse someplace off-site, not in Edison, where you would do shipping and receiving of all the items. This is purely for display and showcasing, correct?
Correct.
Okay. The second floor of this building is proposed to be residential use, correct? Apartments?
Correct.
All right. And there's a separate entrance for that, separate from the commercial use, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Just see. We've had an opportunity to, and just to add to Mr. Bignell's point, there's a lot that's next to yours, which is lot directly to the right that has this narrow home that you can see on Exhibit A1. Okay, and you're aware that this lot actually goes backwards. It's only got a 25-foot frontage. It goes backwards and then junctions into a T, and that property goes behind your property, correct? That's very confusing without looking at a map, I'm sure. Perhaps this, so that property here, if you look at A2, you see the house that's there next to your vacant lot. And they have a little cobblestone or a little paver walkway that leads to essentially a driveway area that's in the back, correct?
Yes.
This area here?
Yes.
Okay, and you don't own this property, correct? No. Okay, in fact, this is all under common ownership with the person that owns that narrow home.
Correct.
Okay. And based on the 200-foot list that we have, we actually have the name of that individual. That's all owned, and that's all part of lot 24.01, and that's owned by Richard Niemeyer, according to this 200-foot list. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, and you are not Richard Niemeyer?
No.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Bedell.
Just so I'm clear. Now, the T lot, does it belong to the property behind him?
The T lot is the property that is just to the right of him.
And to the rear of him? I'm worried about the rear of him.
It's the same lot. It's one lot.
I understand that. Who owns it? Does the owner of that lot, does he own the residential property on Vale Street? Would it be Vale? There's like 30.01. Who owns, does 30.01 own the 24.01?
Mr. Bedell, if you just bring the microphone closer to you.
Does the 30.01 own the 24.01?
30.01? No, that's a separate owner. 30.01
Good.
is...
That's what I want to hear.
Yes.
Okay. That's all I want to hear, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Bedell.
Making that distinction is that the ordinance requires a buffer when it's a residential to commercial, and he don't buffer then. He don't abut the residential, so he don't have to put the buffer in. All I asked is, I think I asked for an 8-foot fence. I think his plan says 6 foot, but that's all he'd have to do.
Okay.
And that's the reason why I was being specific about it.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Bedell.
And Mr. Singh, just to address, there's one point in Mr. Bignell's report. He's asking for a solid 8-foot fence along the rear of the property. You would agree to that condition?
Correct.
One of the other conditions that he mentioned is that there's a basement that's shown on those plans. You're not using that basement for any display purposes or anything other than just static storage, correct?
Correct.
And if the board were to approve or look favorably on this, you would agree to those as conditions of that approval. Is that correct? All right.
Mr. Chair, one more thing. With the architectural plan, though, it does say display, so the architectural plans are going to have to be amended to eliminate the word display.
Correct. We would revise that to make it clear.
Yeah, so there's no confusion down the road because the parking was not calculated for the basement.
Correct.
All right?
I have no more direct questions of Mr. Singh. If the board
Okay.
has any.
Does the board have any questions for Mr. Singh?
Mr. Chair?
Mr. Ayat.
Yes, the fence has to be a 8-foot board-on-board fence, not vinyl, as per our ordinance.
Okay. You're okay with that, Mr.
Yes.
Singh?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Mr. Chairman?
Vice Chairman.
In your business, how many employees will you have there between 8 a.m. and 8 p.m.?
Just one. Usually I myself go show all the items to the buyers.
So it'll be yourself and a client?
Myself and a client, yes.
Thank you.
If I could just piggyback on that question. So, Mr. Singh, you indicated it's by appointment only. If you don't have an appointment, is the shop locked up and nobody's there at that time?
Nobody
correct?
there, correct.
So even though it's 8 to 8, 7 days a week is when appointments could occur. If there are no appointments, it's essentially dormant, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Thank you. Does the board have any other questions for Mr. Singh?
Mr. Chair, I'm
Mr.
just
Brown.
a little confused about the basement. I heard first it was going to be for storage or display storage, but then I heard now it's not going to be for display. So can you just clarify that for me?
So
The
to
basement?
clarify, yeah. And perhaps this will help. When the architecturals indicate display and storage, that's an error. It's just going to be storage. The reason being is that if the basement is used for additional commercial purposes, then that square footage would have to be taken into account for parking calculation, additional FAR calculation, all those sorts of things. So what we're asking for is takes into account that the basement is not used for anything other than storage purposes. So we're agreeing that as a condition, if this is approved, the basement area would just be to store things. It would not be for any display purposes or showroom purposes.
So no business would be conducted in the basement is what you're saying?
Correct.
Okay. And what would you be storing there? I'm just curious, if upstairs is a display area, showroom, and I've worked in many, so there's not a lot of moving up and down of things going, you know. Can you explain the connection between the basement and the display upstairs? Other than storage, and then my question would be, what are you storing?
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of a sample of tiles. Like everybody in these days, putting a lot of different designs and tiles on each bathroom, and so there's a lot of material interiors. Like if we have about 10 to 15 kind of interior doors, then exterior doors, and hinges and handles. There's a lot of space we need for storage. We can have only a little bit on the top, on the first floor,
and then be storing the rest of the items in the basement.
But in your explanation, what I just heard is that if you have these variety of doors or hinges, as you're describing, and you're working with the client upstairs, so to see it, you'd have to take the client downstairs. So now, is the basement now conducting business also as an extension of upstairs? That's my question.
No, we don't be taking clients to the basement, no.
Well, if you have several doors or more doors downstairs or hinges,
We will be bringing some stuffs we're going to be keeping there, like a sample of the tiles we're going to be bringing upstairs if they don't like it. From the most of the items, most popular items in upstairs, myself will be bringing upstairs, not taking the client to the basement.
I understand the attorney's explanation about the word display was an error, but it's sounding to me like downstairs is also a display area for the purposes that you just described.
Well, just to be clear, Mr. Singh, the items that are stored downstairs would be stored in, they wouldn't be out on shelves for people to look at. They would be stored in boxes or different sort of materials that you would then take that upstairs to then show to the client who remains on the first floor. And that's because occasionally you might rotate your stock around if something becomes more popular than something else. So you have a limited amount of space upstairs. You want to have that nicely displayed so people can walk around and see those things. And then additional material that may be brought up occasionally to switch out, depending on the season, depending on the different kind of desires of a client, you would be able to swap those in and out. The added benefit of that is that you wouldn't have to bring stuff from your warehouse to the showroom in order to switch around stock, correct?
Correct.
And so that way you wouldn't have to have traffic or trucks or anything coming in and out, because the purpose is to not have to have anything going in and out of this building, correct?
Correct.
Mr. Chairman?
Mr. McDowell.
You could also make it a condition of approval that there's no display downstairs.
So
And it doesn't seem like it's a really high volume type of deal, so
I
don't think it's a big deal. I just wanted to point it out because we didn't calculate the parking, but it doesn't even seem like he needs the parking. So with this operation.
Absolutely. So
Okay.
my suggestion was going to be, if Mr. Barone agreed and if the applicant agreed, that they set a condition that it was an unfinished basement used for storage only.
That's it.
Is that
Okay.
acceptable?
Yes.
Mr. You,
That's
okay,
acceptable.
boom. See? I'm a peacemaker every once in a while.
And just to put this in perspective, how many appointments do you anticipate having within a week?
Sometime only one a week, sometime two, is not many.
Okay.
Okay. Does the board have any other questions for Mr. Singh? Okay, seeing none. Thank you, Mr. Arch. Thank you, Mr. Singh.
Thanks.
Mr. Singh, you can go have a seat. Our next witness is Mr. Paul Fletcher. He'll be testifying as both an engineer and a professional planner.
You solemnly swear or affirm to tell the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
And please state your full name for the record.
Paul J. Fletcher.
And Mr. Fletcher, if you could just please give us a summary of your qualifications.
Yes, I'm a licensed professional engineer and professional planner in the state of New Jersey. I'm the principal of Fletcher Engineering and have been since 1992. I've been accepted on many occasions in front of this board and the planning board in Edison. I've testified in numerous planning and zoning boards in Middlesex County, Union County, Monmouth County.
And your licenses are current and in good standing?
Yes, they are.
And you want to be qualified as both an engineer and a planner?
Yes.
Okay, we'll accept you as both. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Mr. Fletcher, if you could just please take us through, you prepared the plans, and please just take us through what we are proposing on the site.
Certainly. Yes, the subject property, commonly known as 1590 Lincoln Highway, lot 25.01 in block 381. It's located on the southeast side of Lincoln Highway, just south of Dukeless Lane. It's It's a vacant lot at this current time. It was previously had a building that was used most recently as a auto detailing shop that has been demolished. That building was located towards the front of the property. The applicant proposes to construct a building towards the rear of the property. The building size would be 40 feet wide and 30 feet deep, 1,200 square feet. Property is in the OS1 zone. The proposal creates a number of variances. Firstly, there are a couple of existing nonconformities where the OS1 7,500 square feet is required for lot area, 5,000 square feet is existing. Minimum lot width, 60 feet is required, 50 feet is existing. The proposed construction creates a number of variances regarding the building. Firstly, side setback. Individual side, 6 feet is required, but we're proposing 5. Combined side yards, 18 is required. We're proposing 10. Rear yard setback, 25 feet is required. 9 feet is proposed. With regards to maximum FAR, 30% is allowed in the zone. We're proposing 48%. Maximum lot coverage, all impervious, 65% is allowed. We're proposing 72.9%. As Mr. Singh had mentioned, the intent is to use the first floor area as a builder's showroom. On the second floor, we're proposing 2 one-bedroom apartments. They will have separate access. They come in a common door, but there will be a hall to a set of stairs to the second floor. There is also variances required for the residential nature of the OS zone allows for residential uses as an accessory use. This is not accessory to the principal use. It's an independent use.
So, Mr. Fletcher, on the basis of those dimensional variances and the setback variances, those are all created by the undersized nature of the lot, correct?
Basically, yes.
Okay. And actually, in looking around the neighborhood and the lots that are around there, the size of the lot is actually consistent with a lot of the lots around there. In fact, many of them are even of smaller size than ours. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay.
We have 2 reports. The Delaware Raritan Canal, Delaware Raritan Engineering Report dated March 15th. The applicant has reviewed the report and will comply with the requests in that report. I won't go through it individually. However, we can provide testimony, I think, specific if it's needed.
Mr. Fletcher, I'm just going to stop you there before we go over to the next report.
Sure.
Mr. Bauer?
Good evening, Chairman. I think the only really comment of concern that we had was regarding the potential for deliveries to the site, but given the nature of the use and as it's been explained, I don't think that's really an issue. So that's really, so we're satisfied with the response.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Fletcher. You good?
Yeah.
Mr. Bonneau?
Yeah, I looked at that too, but the ordinance doesn't require loading for a building this size.
It does or does not?
Does not.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, all right, thank you. All right, Mr. Fletcher, you may proceed.
Yes. I have Mr. Rignell's report dated April 17th, 2024. I'll go to the plan review comments, page 4, section 11. Mr. Bignell requests that we provide documentation of approval or exemptions from various outside agencies, including Middlesex County Planning Board, Freehold Soil, NJDOT, and any other agencies having jurisdiction. The applicant will comply with that request. And number B, I think we've gone into in detail. And I would also reiterate that the basement area will be used only for storage, and we agree that that would be a condition of approval.
Paul, before we go through all these, maybe it'll be easier just going through A through N of all Mr. Bignell's comments. Can we comply with all of the everything that he indicates there, or are there any that we can't comply?
We can comply with them all. I would like to comment on L, pipeline buffering information. I would like a waiver, the applicant would request a waiver from getting actual letters from the pipeline companies. I would propose that I prepare a letter to state that there are no pipelines within 75 feet after reviewing the pipeline mapping of Edison. Getting letters from the pipeline companies it's almost impossible.
Mr. Chairman?
Mr. Bignell.
I have no objection to them asking for the waiver. If Mr. Fletcher wants to send me the letter, I ask that it be signed and sealed with his license saying that there are no pipelines of 75 pounds per square inch in the neighborhood or anywhere near this property or within 75 feet. If he agrees to that, then I have no objection to the waiver.
I'm agreeable to that.
Okay.
Not a problem.
And that would be a condition.
That's a condition of approval.
That would absolutely be a condition of approval because.
And we agree. Mr. Fletcher, in regards to the planning testimony, if you want to maybe put your planning hat on and just briefly go over the justifications for the FAR variance, the use variance, and the bulk variance.
Actually, I'm sorry, Mr. Arch. Before we do that, I just wanted to just make sure, Mr. Bignell, you're good with Mr. Fletcher's review of your report?
Yeah, the couple of just nuances maybe in the report. I asked for an irrigation system, which he's agreed to. And I also said that because the parking was calculated with the EV chargers and they got credit for 2 spaces under the ordinance and state statute, that they'd be ready to go as soon as he moves into the building. So they'd be installed immediately. Okay, so not just the wiring to them, but the chargers are there in place that they had to be used. I guess he's agreed to that because that's in my language.
That's saying we're agreeable to that?
Because that eliminates the variance that they would have, so they have no parking variance.
Okay.
And I hate to do this, Hank, because the requirement is only 7 spaces and the state law only allows you to take a credit up to 10% of the required spaces, we would still be 1 space short.
Well, our town is a little different. Our ordinance says a little differently, so I'm giving you the benefit of the doubt. So you want to shoot yourself in the foot, go right ahead.
I'm only saying that because I believe the state statute preempts the township ordinance. So
yeah.
I think we do have to still request it because we are 1 short. And I hate to disagree with you.
I have no problem with that, Mr. Chairman. I think he has enough parking.
Okay.
Oh, and then the RSIS, the parking for the apartment units, they've got to be specifically labeled or signed on the property so that the residents have access all the time.
Correct. We would agree to that.
And that's all I got. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Fletcher, you may proceed.
Yes. With regards to the FAR, it is a D variance. It's not a true use variance in that the actual use is permitted. Residential use on the 2nd floor in the OS zone is allowed to be an accessory use. The criteria that must be satisfied is can the property handle the increase in the FAR? And I would submit that it can. We are actually less than the allowable lot coverage by building. We're at 24% versus the 25. We're putting a 2nd story on that allowed building area, and then we're providing adequate parking for the uses. With regards to the C variances, I believe a combination of C1 and C2 because of the undersized property being only 50 by 100 to comply with all the side and rear yard setbacks would force the building to be too small and not a practical not practical to develop. And similarly, it is a commercial zone, so to provide adequate parking, we are able to do so. However, we're exceeding the total impervious coverage, not by a lot, by about 7.9%. But we are exceeding it. But that's also a function of the lot size. I believe the C2 criteria applies where the benefits significantly outweigh the detriments. This is a commercial area. It's a mixed area. I see no detrimental effect to the neighborhood or nor to the zone plan or the master plan. I think the site is particularly well suited for this proposed use, and I think it promotes a number of the MLUL goals. I think it promotes the general welfare. We're providing modest rental accommodation, which is in short supply for citizens of Edison. It's providing a business use for PKG builders, which will be clearly not an intense use. Having 1 or 2 appointment visitors a week will be very low intense use. So for those reasons, I think that the board has the authority to grant the variances requested.
So, Mr. Fletcher, I think you said it, but just to reiterate, the positives would outweigh any potential detriments to this, in your opinion, as a professional planner. Is that correct?
That is correct. That's my opinion.
And that includes taking what was quite frankly, a rundown and underutilized site and now putting in a sort of vibrant new business, setting that business back from the roadway, much more than many of the other homes that are along there that are right up against the frontage and the street. And we're actually providing more setbacks than a lot of the surrounding areas. In fact, if you look, that home that's on the lot right next door to us is less than a foot away from the lot line. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, so you would agree that this is overall a significant upgrade, and that the benefits significantly outweigh any sort of detriments?
Yes.
I have no further questions for Mr. Fletcher.
Thank you. Does the board have any questions for Mr. Fletcher with regard to engineering and planning testimony? Mr. Brown.
Mr. Chair. Mr. Fletcher, on your application, and I appreciate all the explanations that have been provided, the thing that's glaring for me most is the FAR. Required is 30%, and you're proposing 48%. That's a 60% increase beyond the requirement. How can you justify that?
Mr. Chairman?
Mr. McDowell.
Can I help a little bit?
Please.
Mr. Brown, this is a very small lot. It's built up all around it. It's been a disaster for years and years and years, and then we're finally going to get a building that looks decent with a minimum activities. These apartments are very small. They're 1 bedroom. They're only 600 square feet each, so you're not going to get a lot of people, a lot of children. You're not going to get any children living there. And the operation is very low-key next to a single-family house that was just redone on the corner that was existing, very old house, but they re-sided it and rebuilt a lot of the stuff. So I think I know you guys are tough on FAR, but I think in this case you gotta bend a little bit, because you're never going to get anything on this property unless you allow them to do something. And this is, I think, this is like 100. This is 100 times better than what it was. So I don't mean to interrupt your questioning, but I think you have to give them a little leeway on the and that's just talking to you as a planner now.
I understand.
All right, so
Mr. Bignell, you carry a lot of influence on this board, and I respect your input, and I have no problem.
I used to drive to work there every day and say to and there was a big sign that said detail for cars. And I said to myself, how the hell did he get in there? Because you couldn't get off the highway. So, it was just, and the building was bright blue, and it was a mess. And they, like I said, they cleared up the one property. They took that building down. They didn't ask for anything to take the building down. They didn't say to you, hey, look, I got an existing building with all these violations. They just started from scratch. And I think that's taking the high road, not taking the low road. So personally, I think I would give him a break with the FAR and stuff.
Mr. Fletcher, I would say then I agree with Mr. Bignell, and I'll defer
I
to him.
agree too.
Thank you.
Do you?
Yes.
It's like I always say, Mr. Bignell is always right.
Don't get me started. Does the board have any other questions for Mr. Fletcher? All right, seeing none. Thank you, Mr. Fletcher.
Thank you.
Mr. Archer.
That concludes our presentation. Just in summary, I think Mr. Bignell said it better than I ever could. So I will leave his words echoing in your mind as you make your decisions.
All right, thank you. So we will now go out to the public. We will go within 200 feet of the subject site. Anyone wanting to be heard, if you were within 200 feet of the subject site, you received a notice via certified mail. Seeing none, we'll now go outside of 200 feet of the site. Seeing none, can I get a motion to close the public portion?
Motion to close public session.
Second.
Motion made by Vice Chairman O'Gorman, second by Mr. Patel. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Public portion is now closed, and I'll go to the board.
Mr. Chairman?
Vice Chairman.
I'd like to make a motion to approve this application based on Bicknell Planning Consultants Engineering Report, and they comply to all the recommendations, specifically that the residential have their parking marked for each unit, and also for the Delaware Raritan Engineering Report. You meet all the requirements. You met the positive and negative criteria, and also this is going to improve the area and what was there before.
And just to add to the conditions, I believe
I got
unfinished
it.
basement. Oh,
I got it.
Oh, sorry.
Right, and
So-
the
so-
basement will only be used for storage.
Yeah, so
Which
they'll
is included in Bicknell's report.
they'll amend their architectural plans to show no display units in the basement. The basement will be unfinished and will be used for storage only. Also, they will be granted a waiver for pipeline buffering review letters. However, Fletcher Engineering will review and deliver a signed and sealed report to the township.
I'll second.
Wait, hold on one second.
You have a solid 8-foot board-on-board fence to the rear.
A solid 8-foot board and on-board fence to the rear. Did we miss anything else?
Just want to make sure.
Okay, all right.
I'll second.
Okay, motion made by Vice Chairman O'Gorman, seconded by Mr. Dave. Roll call, please.
Mr. Cerrito?
Motion.
Mr. Chabra?
Yes to the motion.
Mr. Barone?
Yes on the motion.
Mr. Patel?
Yes on the motion.
Mr. DeVay?
Yes on the motion.
Vice Chair O'Gorman?
Yes on the motion.
And Chairman Gumbo.
Yes on the motion. Approval is unanimous, 7-0. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Have a wonderful evening.
Madam Secretary, is there any further business to come before the board this evening?
Yeah.
That'll be all.
All right. And Madam Secretary, just to update you, the Rangers are ahead 4-2 with 9 minutes left in the
This
third.
is exciting.
All right. Can I get a motion to adjourn so the Secretary can get home and watch the rest of the Ranger game?
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
All right. Did you make the motion?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion made by Mr. Barone.
Second.
Second by Mr. Patel. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Board is adjourned. Our next meeting is Tuesday, April 30th, 2024, 7 p.m. in the council chamber. Thank you. Good evening.
You really do.